What's up, world, and welcome to another Super Investor Show. On today's show, I don't really have a super investor. I have one of my good friends in this space who just turns out to be a super investor. And not only that, he's arguably building the infrastructure which all of us are going to be using, especially if you're in the XRP community, because you may know of the founder, Kaj Leroy, the CEO, founder of XPUNKS, the biggest NFT on the XRP ledger. And not only that, has now gone further afield, and we're going to hear a little bit more about NFT marketplace and on XRP. So without further ado, please welcome my friend, our next super investor, Kaj Leroy.
Thanks, Jordan, for the warm welcome.
You're welcome. I told you I'd make your head a little bit bigger by bringing you up.
Well, that's pretty hard to get my head even more big, but you did a good job.
We sure have. And we can see there's a few more heads around you, which we're going to come to in just a second. But for anyone who may not know you, how would you define Kaj?
That's a pretty direct question. So how do you define Kaj? I think energetic. That is one. I always have energy, like you've probably have seen throughout the years. I don't give up. Just very determined into what we're doing, and then I don't know. I don't accept no for an answer in the right situations. What else?
Well, I guess what does day-to-day look like for you as well, Kaj? Because you said you're energetic. So where's all that energy going?
Work. Everything we're building. We're currently doing 4 projects, I'd say, of onXRP, XPUNKS, Eden, and on AVEX. So that's where all my energy goes. And then the last bit of energy goes, mostly to sleep. So it's work, sleep, and obviously the gym to stay sharp.
Beautiful. And Kaj, actually, we haven't spoken about this offline. What's the end goal? Because you're working on a number of projects, ultimately dedicating your youth. I don't want to give your age away, but you're dedicating your youth right now to this space. What's the end goal?
I'd say just doing what I love, making a difference. I'd say that. So for me, Eden, for example, is a passion project. I've always been big on video games, and I love playing video games. It's always been a dream of mine to build one, and always had a particular vision, and Bastiaan as well. And Louis too, to build something very immersive, with great story, and that's what Eden will be. More I cannot tell. And with XPUNKS and onXRP, it's just the entire community aspects of things. You're building something together. It's not just you, and it's not just your team either. It's the entire community that gives feedback on what you're building, and also what they would like to see built. And I think that co-creational aspect is amazing, especially in the crypto space, because you don't really see that, not even on the stock market, even though it is a very open, like a very accessible way of investing still, where you should be able to receive feedback or at least have a discussion with the companies that you're investing in. In crypto, obviously, you're not an investor, you are a holder, which makes it a little bit more personal. But I do still think that is one of the major changes that are happening in regards to the financial systems or technology systems, that you have that user feedback straight away, because there's community created out of those technologies, which is amazing.
And our relationship is living proof of that, because
for sure,
all those years ago, those 1.5 years ago, which feels like 10 years in crypto, it started off in the DMs. It starts off because there were very few, if any, NFT projects starting to bubble up within the XRP community. Right? Arguably because we know XLS20 isn't live yet, and we know as we fast approach it. In fact, Kaj, can you give us an insight? Do we have an estimate? Do you have a timeline when X-less
I
for you?
wish. I always thought it was gonna be around NFT NYC. Strategically that would have made sense. Sadly, that didn't happen. My next best guess would be around Apex. Node operators want to know what's happening in the space, and Apex will be the place for all the updates. So hopefully around there. But yeah, it might as well could take till October or maybe even next year. We'll just keep building and improving our systems to make sure that everything, keeps optimized and we're not sitting still. And on the side, expanding our existing systems towards other blockchains as well to bring over communities and create like David Schwartz says, lift the walled gardens.
Powerful. And the community will be watching, that's for sure. And I like your prediction about Apex. We'll see if that comes to fruition.
Let's hope. Fingers crossed. It's already in 2 weeks, so that would be amazing. So it would be like in the next 2 to 4 weeks that we can go live. It would be amazing.
It sure will be amazing.
Yeah.
And you're speaking there, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Of a talk about our entire stories and NFTs and gaming.
And before we come into your superpower, because that's where the show's all about, you being vulnerable, just explain that background. We can't ignore that. So tell us more about what is that background?
Those little guys are the XPUNKS, 10,000 generative art NFT series that we created. We started creating in October last year. That's when we went live as well. And we've been just optimizing everything. We did a very non-binary approach. And it shows you a little bit like how the future might look in like 50 years, when everything is getting more and more towards one direction instead of a very tribalistic culture. There is some tribalistic culture in there as well, because we have gold ones, we have silver ones, and the backstory will be told in the future. But yeah. We're driving a lot of utility towards those little guys in the form of airdropping OXP every month. We've done it, I think, for 6 or 7 times now. We're airdropping other NFT projects on it. We call it incubator drops from newly starting NFT projects. They pitch their projects to us, and if we think, hey, these guys are actually onto something, or they're very passionate, very capable, that's when they can airdrop one NFT to one holder, which is a great way of getting exposure for them. And we've done the Ambu Legends, the XBase, the XPUNKS. We've done Let's Effing Go, which is cool. And of course we have Eden, and it's also an access pass to an amazing community.
It really is. And gold or silver, which one should we be looking to get?
Well, gold, of course. Gold.
Okay. There's nothing always
So what the funny thing is, actually, when we did the first rarity check, when everything was in place, which ones were the most rare? The ones with 0 attributes.
Interesting.
So it's you'll see how it will go, but that was the first check, which was interesting.
I love that. That is such a paradox.
Yeah.
Brilliant, Kaj. Well, thank you for sharing that insight. And I know there's so much more to talk about. So I appreciate that. We're going to now divert and come on to the 2 questions I ask every single guest. And the first one is, what is your superpower, Kaj, as a super investor?
What is a superpower? So I'm pretty good at strategy, determining a strategy, thinking of a strategy, or in the investor sense, seeing what someone else's strategy is. Because if you know somebody's strategy, you know where they're headed in the next 3 to 5 years, or in crypto in the next year at least, which I think is powerful. You could see a little bit in the future. I was always very big on Tesla in the beginning because of their batteries and because of their particularly because of their how do you say it? Their automated driving. I didn't see that much as a competitive advantage, but the fact that they have cameras on the cars and mapping each street, it's data, and that's where they were going, and that's now why they are a $1 trillion company. It's not because they have good tech. No, it's because they have data. I found that very interesting. That's one example, and I can have a good overview of multiple things, as in, like, we're running 4 projects, and I can still process that in my mind quite easily. I think I could do another 2 projects in there if we must, but rather not because I do like my sleep.
And where do you think this untaste, in a sense, you haven't been able to quench this strategy because, like you just said, you can fit another 2 more in there. Where do you think this hunger to deploy, to build, and to expand the strategy has come from?
I don't know. I always found it very, very interesting in some sense that you can actually decide your own future, or decide the future of a company you're running, or whatsoever. Because if you can decide the path you're walking, you know where you're going to be headed in the next 2 to 3 years, which is very powerful. If you know that, you have an advantage over anybody else that doesn't do that. So it's very interesting for me to pave your own path and adhere to that strategy, and you'll see actually that, not in all cases obviously, but if you plan it out well, if you map it out well, you can actually reach at least 70-80% of that one goal if you really put your foot to it.
So I'm going to pick that apart a little bit. I love Bob Proctor. Are you familiar with Bob Proctor?
No, I don't.
So Bob Proctor, late great motivational speaker, a lot more about the law of attraction, right? Think how you feel, and soon enough, your feelings become things. And so this idea that he always said, you need to see your end goal in HD, clear as day.
Yeah.
The how doesn't matter. What would you say about that? Do you feel like the how does matter and that does need to match up? Or would you say actually just pinpointing the end goal is the most important thing?
No, the how doesn't matter, because you'll figure out the how on your way there. It's the why that matters the most. Why do you do this?
And I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that, because ultimately, once you know the what it is and the why, like you just said, it's going to change on that path. Has there been an example where your strategy has been thrown out the window?
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is. If it comes to mind, I'll come back to it, but not something pops in my mind currently.
I like that. But we know you're human. We know you're human, which is why
everybody makes mistakes, and everybody not not a wizard either.
No, far from it. And that's why, and I hope you take this as a compliment, Kai. I want to bring you on because people do look at you as a godlike person. Number one, how are you able to manage so many successful projects, which maybe at times you don't give yourself enough credit, right? Because they are successful. And remember, we only see 20% of what's going on beneath the surface. So what would you say is your weakness?
My weakness. What maybe it's hard to think about that on the spot. You did ask me that question before, but I forgot. In complete honesty, I forgot what I said. But no, I think what my weakness is that I tend to take too many things and not give too many. How do you say that? Autonomy away. I want to do everything myself, which is not good, because there's people in my team that know to do it way better than I do. But still, because I want to have that, how do you say, the possession? There's an English word, possessive.
But yeah, possessive is definitely, yeah.
Maybe that's it. To doing too many things at the same time. I do have ADHD, so focus is sometimes also a thing that my focus shifts to the wrong things, but it can also be very beneficial because there's also a thing called hyperfocus, which is that you focus on one thing a little bit too much. I'd say those things. I think those are my weaknesses.
Interestingly, we had the CEO and founder of Hashpack, the leading wallet for Hedera, and the HBAR token. And her superpower was being able to support others, in the sense that she was more than happy to give up that control, that possessiveness, to people who she knew could do a better job. And for you, are you trying to control, that possessiveness? Are you trying to overcome that? And if so, how are you doing that at the moment, Kai?
Yeah. So no, in the beginning it was a lot worse, and I've had some arguments with Bastiaan about it particularly. But it's just a matter of trust. Now it's not as bad anymore. You live and you learn. And I just told everyone, give me instant feedback and just tell me to shut up. if I say something, just be direct to me, and that helped a lot. I think the biggest thing in the space, and especially as a leader in the space, is don't let your ego guide you. You should not have any ego. You should trust the people around you, no matter what, because you are also the ones that pick the people around you. So in a sense, if you don't trust them, you don't trust yourself either. Let your ego go. I think that's the biggest advice I could give her.
And I'm sure people have heard about the ego is the enemy, right? That, like you just said, ego gets in the way, and that can stop people coming to you because they're scared of you. And you just gave us a little glimpse into where that's happened before, where you say, no, look, guys, give me the feedback, tell me to shut up, giving them permission in advance. Yeah. Would you say there's some situations where the ego is useful? Relating to investing and...
Yeah, maybe a little bit if you go more into the confidence side of things. It's always good to be confident, not overly confident, obviously, but I think if you stay confident, especially when you're speaking, when you're talking to investors, VCs, you need to come over as confident. So their ego is great. And as a leader, you also need to see confident, because an insecure leader doesn't work very well either. So I think maybe only in a confident sense, but again, you still need to stay humble, and humble is kind of the opposite of ego. So it's a weird combination.
You're not wrong. And like you said, as a leader, that is the hardest, because that fine line between confidence and being egotistic, it's one that is tricky to tread. Have you found, with the growing success of XPUNKS, onXRP, and Eden, and all these other projects that are coming, Kai, that you've struggled to contain your ego?
No, not anymore. I think it's everybody that's currently working with us, they're amazing. They're very talented. So it's very easy to let them try and touch that ego, because they do know better. You just got to accept that.
I'm going to dig a little bit deeper, because you said not anymore. So I caught you out.
Go for it.
Wow. You said not anymore. So if you're happy to share, was there a time where your ego was getting the better of you? And did you need someone or yourself to just check yourself and humble you again?
Well, in the beginning, because everything went so fast, it's hard to find a grasp. You're only sleeping, 2 to 4 hours a night. It was like the first 6 weeks of inception. And that was a crazy period, because, sleeps process emotions. And if you don't sleep, you don't process those emotions. And ego is run by emotions. So in the beginning, Bestie and I had a lot of conflicts on, I take care of this, you take care of that.
Just for everyone at home, who is Bastiaan? Yeah.
The Bastiaan is the co-founder and COO of XPUNKS and onXRP. The bald guy who made the first XPUNKS.
I don't want to say that.
Or Exio. People know him as Exio as well. No, we had quite some discussions in the beginning, apart from who takes on what. No, I can do better. Can do this better. No, I can do that better. No, we have to do it this way. You have to find your balance in it, because also if you're friends for 14 years, we currently are, then you still have you still look at that same person as if you were 14. So that trust level is there, but I still would not go in a car with him while him driving. So it's you still look at him as some form of a kid, even though obviously he is not. He's a very intelligent, capable, and responsible person. But it's just that vision, because the things you did when you were younger together.
And that's lovely that, and I'm sure he'll hear this, and the great amount of respect you two have for each other now. That there was that little rough patch.
Yeah, for sure. But we got over it quite easily. And that's, again, letting the ego go, just be completely open to each other and trust each other. And when you first, give the trust to someone else and it pays off, then it gets easier by each time. And that's just how it went.
I can 100% relate to that. And I think I've just transitioned into where you are now because, as I was saying to you guys, I was doing it all myself as well until I brought on Niall, who hopefully in due time people will get to know who he is. But he runs my life. He's been running my life probably for the good part of 8 months since joining Phoenix Community Capital. And especially now starting this show, I knew I couldn't control this show. I knew I just needed to come on, have great conversations with some remarkable minds like yourself, because you come onto the point of sleep. And what I found was the noise. It was so noisy in my head that I didn't have time to think. And so I was feeling the pressure of showing up every single day online or in person, like the Jordan Harry people know. And I never had taken the time to actually just sit down and be like, am I happy with what I'm doing? Am I happy with who I'm becoming? Have I lost my integrity, my character? Because I'm sure everything's out there, social media, and you build a character. But your character, like you just said, Bastiaan, Bastiaan as who he is as a kid.
Yeah.
Have you found that because now you are a leader of projects that are arguably responsible for multi-millions, that you felt that pressure and those emotions with what you do day to day have become challenging?
Weirdly enough, no, not at all. Because I highly believe in what we do and what we're trying to achieve and where we're going. That's the least of my worries, to be honest.
Which comes arguably to my last question, because I think this will be a good one to finish on, which is people always say, keep your emotions out of investing. And as much as we all try, I think I think an investor is lying if they've never felt emotional seeing a chart go up or down. There's a couple of questions here within this one question. Number one, do you think you have to remove emotions from investing to be a successful investor?
Well, I'd say it depends what you're doing. If you're long-term investing in, for example, stock, and you have an emotional connection with the company because you believe in the people and the people leading it, then it's different. If you're a day trader and you're focused on the charts and you get scared when you see a red candle, then you should take the emotions out of it. So it's depending on the situation. I think short-term investing, you don't want any emotion. Long-term investing, it could help. Because I had great emotions attached to XRP, since 2017 or 16, and that brought me here. So yeah.
Arguably, you are the first person I've heard to give context to that statement, because most of the time it's just a sweeping statement, right? Keep emotions out of investing. What I love about what you just said there, Kai, and I can 100% relate. If I didn't have the emotions I have for XRP, HBAR, XLM, Algo, I would not be doing something like this, interacting and building relationships with people like yourself who have the same crazy obsession. Because ultimately we know we have a vision which many people can't see. And you would say that actually that's what it takes to be successful. So I think I already know the answer to this, Kai. Would you say your emotions in investing, as much as some people would look at it as a weakness, it's been a superpower of yours?
Yeah, maybe it is. I did try day-to-day investing, like day trading. I mean, I did try it. Was horrible at it. Horrible, like honestly horrible. So that's not something what I tried in regards to that. That's definitely a weakness. But in regards to the long-term choices I make, then definitely a positive.
Noted. So this is a message to everyone watching at home. If Kyber comes up with a Forex trading strategy, ignore it. Okay.
I'll be one of those people to put out some courses about day trading, and then we'll see how that goes. No, definitely not.
I've done it too. I think I spent 6 months before I got into crypto. Forex was my way in, and it definitely numbs you to the numbers on the screen. That's the best way to put it, because at the end of the day, money, it is just numbers. What do you do with those numbers? Well, that's a different conversation. So with that being said, Kai, one last thing that you want everyone to remember before we let you go.
Stay humble. Stay humble, I'd say.
That's good enough for us. And coming from someone like yourself, who you've gone through the roller coaster of emotions and the journey's far from over, I know for a fact you'll stay humble. If not, I'll keep you humble.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I love that. Look, Kai, I know we could talk a lot longer, my man, but you have an NFT marketplace launching?
Very, very soon. It was planned for today, tomorrow. We're still onboarding projects for onAvex. Hopefully very soon. They just released a build last night because the guys working on it, they also work 16 hours a day. Much respect for them as well. So hopefully in the next couple hours or days that it will come out. And then we can finally get the ball rolling with a launchable NFT system, which is amazing before X Funny hits the ground.
Man, no one can say that you were sitting on your hands whilst you were waiting. So
No.
kudos to you. Brilliant,
Awesome.
Kai. Well, look, buddy, can't wait to have you on the show again. We'll see you again soon, I hope.
Yeah, for sure. Send me the invite and I'll be there, man. Of course.
Powerful, man. And can't wait to hear where you're at when you're next back on. Until then, buddy, catch you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye. Well then, family. So there you have it. As I say, these super investors, they seem godlike, and some of them truly are. And Kai being one of them, because he has a godlike mammoth task on his plate every single day with his team as well. But as you can hear, he struggled with those emotions and ego, but he's overcome them, and he knows they're going to come back for him any given day. So he has to stay on top of them. So be sure to do exactly the same. Now, as we now move forward from this show to next Monday, we have someone from Link2 coming. Link2 makes private investing easy and simple, allowing you to invest in pre-IPO shares like Ripple and even Coinbase before they went public. So this is the whole idea that the rich stay rich because they have the opportunities that you and I don't have. But Link2 are giving you that opportunity. Now, I'm not going to explain any more about Link2, but our next guest, Ray Fuentes, will be. And more importantly, he'll be talking about the superpower of networking and how networking has made him a super investor, but more importantly, what success that has had for Link2. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. If you want to see any guest feature on the Super Investor Show, be sure to let us know on Twitter, simply by tagging me at Jordan Harry, 2 N's, 2 Y's. And until then, have a marvelous Monday. Ciao for now.